Alright guys, today we're going to be talking playoff hockey in the Pacific Division. We are roughly about 11 games into the 2019-2020 season, and we have definitely already seen some pretty big headlines. So we're going to be kind of discussing, based on our first impressions, which teams are kind of indicating that they are playoff teams. And I guess before I start this video, I will preface, there's certain traits I consider to be, playoff hockey traits. And those traits are goaltending. Every successful team has a rocket net. Scoring, your top scorers need to be producing. Simple as that. Defense, there is a good reason why, building a good team is commonly referred to as building from the net out. Goaltending and then defense first, and the rest will kind of fall through. And then depth. You can have the best first line in the whole NHL, and that doesn't guarantee you any type of success. So with that being said, let's start with the Edmonton Oilers. One of the most explosive starts so far this season. The Oilers have started off this season very hot with the 8-3-1 record, which is now, first in the whole Pacific Division. They have been trending downwards as of recently, but they've definitely been playing some very impressive hockey. Now, this is definitely going to be a hot take, but personally, I still don't know if I fully see the Edmonton Oilers as a playoff team. I currently live in Alberta. I watch every single Edmonton Oilers game, and I would actually consider myself to be an Oilers fan. However, I just can't get over the lack of scoring depth. Neal has 10 goals in his first 12 games, which is fantastic. The James Neal acquisition was a great move, don't get me wrong. However, if you remove McDavid, Draisaitl, and Neal from this equation, you have a combined 11 goals. So 11 goals over the 20 other players in the Edmonton Oilers roster in the first 12 games. So only 11 goals have been scored in the first 12 games outside of their top guys, outside of their top three guys, which in terms of depth just isn't good at all. It's definitely just not good enough. If you compare it to another team like the Vancouver Canucks, who have been highly criticized for depth in the previous years, the Canucks have 26 goals outside of their top line. So, 26 goals versus 11 from the Edmonton Oilers in more games. So definitely just not a great look. Now, don't get me wrong, there still definitely is some internal growth here, internal goal production. We could see Nugent Hopkins still only has 1 goal. Chiasson has yet to register a goal this season, and last year he came off a 20-goal year. The newly signed Granlund has yet to register a single point in his first 11 games. So unless McDavid, Neal, and Draisaitl combine for 4 goals every night, goal scoring just isn't there. And so with that being said, it really isn't that sustainable to rely on your first line that heavily every night. It's not really fair to them. It's just not a good, it's not a good model, just in general. So unless the Edmonton Oilers are willing to go out and try to acquire some more scoring depth, which I think if they want playoffs, it's completely necessary. The Edmonton Oilers, unfortunately, are not going to be a playoff team. And I'm a huge fan of Edmonton. I'm a big fan of McDavid. And it's just kind of sad to see. So hopefully they can do something here because, it's not really working out. And the Oilers, again, lost another game tonight, which means, they started off really hot and now they're really starting to trend downwards. But hey, I will say, with having McDavid on your team, really anything is possible. So I guess we'll see. What do you guys think about the Edmonton Oilers? Next team, the Calgary Flames. The Flames were a very dominant force last season and seemed to have success from basically every area of the team. However, one issue kind of persisted, last season, and it's definitely carried on to this season. A number 1 starting goaltender. Now, goaltending, of course, is a major key contributor to the success of an overall team. And I will say, having a good goalie tandem in today's game is definitely a much needed thing. And the Calgary Flames definitely do have a decent goalie tandem. Rittich and, of course, Cam Talbot, they're not the worst goalie tandem, but in terms of the Pacific Division, I would consider them, besides, I guess, the San Jose Sharks this year, and maybe, I guess, Quick, to not have a, they definitely just don't have a playoff, I guess, a cup contending goaltending tandem. Rittich, again, has been playing decently, and Talbot hasn't been a bad acquisition, but, I would consider them both to be fringe starting goaltenders, and the Calgary Flames are still yet to, have that number 1 guaranteed guy. And that's definitely going to always be a setback. Rittich may eventually become that guy, but for the time being, I still don't see yet, but I guess we'll see as the games go on. Overall, though, the Flames are still definitely primed for success. They're currently missing some of their more depth scoring this year with guys like Mark Jankowski, failing to record a single point so far this season. But I will say it is still only a matter of time before Johnny Hockey, Sean Monahan, backline heat up and push towards a playoff spot. I definitely think the Flames are definitely a playoff lock. Their start has been a bit rocky, but they are definitely, that complete team still. But in terms of winning a cup, I still feel like there's a lack of goaltending, confidence here. Next team, the Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights definitely, in my opinion, are still a playoff lock. The Flower, Marc-Andre Fleury, has been playing really well, posting a .928 save percentage in his first 12 games of this season. Mark Stone has been a seamless fit ever since his acquisition from the Ottawa Senators, currently leading the team with 16 points in 13 games, and overall the team has just been playing really well. They aren't perfect though. A lack of a solid backup goaltender may be a bit concerning, really putting the pressure on Fleury to perform every single night, but in my opinion, the Golden Knights are a lock in terms of the playoffs. Next team, the Vancouver Canucks. And the Vancouver Canucks are definitely a very interesting team. They're currently 7-3-1, and in their past 9 games, if you remove the first 2 games of the season, they are now 7-1-1, and that includes wins over other teams like the St. Louis Blues. Goaltending numbers have just been fantastic. Both Demko and Jacob Markstrom have been recording very impressive numbers so far this season. Basically, all 4 lines have been providing a really good scoring depth every single game, and the Canucks currently sit number 1 in the whole NHL in terms of goal differential with a +15. So far this season, the Canucks have scored 15 more goals than they've let in, so that's definitely very good. They're currently 5th in the NHL for goals for per game with 3.64 average, which is definitely fantastic, especially compared to last season. And what's more impressive is that the Canucks are currently 3rd in the NHL in terms of the least amount of goals against per game. So their scoring's there, and no goals are coming in, which is definitely a great tandem. And also the Canucks penalty kill has been much better, and they're currently 4th in the NHL with their more revitalized penalty kill this year. With all this being said, the Canucks are definitely a completely different team this year. JT Miller has 6 goals, 13 points in his first 11 games as a Canuck. So for all you haters out there hating this trade, the numbers don't lie. Elias Pettersson has 14 points in 11 games, and even though I still feel like Elias Pettersson has been off his game, he's still well above point per game, and Michael Ferland has finally started to heat up after a slow start. The Canucks blue line compared to last year has been drastically improved, which has definitely provided way more stability within the lineup. However, and oddly enough, I still feel like the Canucks aren't taken too seriously yet. It's still early on in the season, so I definitely don't blame people to not count Canucks to be a playoff team. However, if the Canucks continue to remain healthy and goaltending remains to that level of play, I don't see any reason why the Canucks don't make the playoffs. The Canucks are much better in every area of their game. Goaltending's been fantastic. Scoring has been some of the best in the NHL. Defense has been fantastic. Special teams is getting better. The Canucks are really turning out to be a very well-rounded team, and I've been very happy with their play. Besides, a couple of games, that whole Washington Capitals collapse, but other than that, the Canucks have been just fantastic this year. Next team, the Arizona Coyotes. The Arizona Coyotes are now currently 7-3-1, and they are currently tied with the Vancouver Canucks for 3rd in the Pacific. The Coyotes have been slowly and quietly building a really good roster the past couple years. They, of course, added Phil the Thrill this past offseason. Nick Schmaltz has been playing really well, recording 11 points in his first 11 games. However, the most impressive thing about the Coyotes this season has just been, their defense and goaltending. They're currently 2nd in the whole NHL in terms of least goals against per game, with only letting in 2.09 average goals against per game, which is just fantastic numbers. And again, that's obviously linked to goaltending. Ranta and Kemper have been just putting up fantastic numbers this season. However, I still do feel as if the Coyotes' scoring star power just really isn't that great compared to some other teams we've mentioned so far. Because I can't really imagine Nick Schmaltz, who is their leader so far in terms of points, being a point per game player this whole season. Phil Kessel has been a bit underwhelming with only 6 points in his first 11 games, so he could definitely heat up. But I still feel as if their star power in terms of scoring it's not really there. However, with that being said, if goaltending and defense keep holding it up and the depth scoring keeps going, the Coyotes are definitely still in the race, and they're definitely going to be there in terms of competing for that wild card spot. Up next, the LA Kings. The LA Kings aren't a total write-off, but it is definitely apparent that with another very disappointing start to the season, that they are definitely a rebuilding team. With that being said, though, they're definitely developing a great prospect pool, and this upcoming draft is just going to be phenomenal. So if they do get another high-end pick to add to their current roster, that could be very dangerous. And again, with that being said, their current roster still has a lot of great pieces. So I do believe, however, that they are going to be the bottom team in the Pacific this season. Next, we have the San Jose Sharks, and the San Jose Sharks have definitely been the most disappointing team so far this season. Well, in terms, of the Pacific. In the offseason, of course, they lost their captain, Joe Pavelski. However, they definitely still do have the core pieces to be that very good team, good contending team. However, so far this season, things just have not been working out whatsoever. Goaltending has been just pretty horrendous, and of course, that can be kind of linked to their defensive situation. And the Sharks still definitely do have the star power to turn the season around and start trending upward, but so far, they're definitely just not looking good. The Sharks are now 4-8-1, 4 wins, 8 losses, 1 overtime loss, and their first 13 games this year, which is a pretty horrendous record when you consider, again, the team that they have behind them. So, I guess we'll see. It's pretty interesting. I still do feel as if they will start to turn around, but not a great look. And last, we have the Anaheim Ducks. And the Ducks have looked much better so far this season. Their success has definitely been tied strongly to their success in net. Their goaltending has just been exceptional. Miller, John Gibson, they've been playing just so well. One of the better tandems in the whole Pacific Division. The Ducks currently sit 4th in the whole NHL in terms of, the least amount of goals against per game. However, I do see a lot of concerns in terms of their scoring ability. They're currently 5th in the whole NHL in terms of the least amount of goals for per game with 2.46, so definitely not a great look. It's fine, it's great when you're not allowing goals, but you definitely need to score goals to win games. So I do feel as if their lack of scoring ability is definitely going to hinder them, considering that it's not great to rely on Miller and Gibson the whole season to win every game. So with that being said, I still feel like that they're going to be a competitive team, but I can't see them being a playoff team. So what do I think? Which teams are going to make the playoffs and which teams are going to be pushed out? Well, in terms of playoff locks, I'd probably only consider the Golden Knights and the Calgary Flames to be considered, locks. However, for the rest, it's definitely going to be a very interesting debate. If the Canucks remain healthy and continue the way they're playing right now, I definitely see them as the 3rd seed in the Pacific Division, which leaves the Oilers, Sharks, and Coyotes fighting for a wildcard spot. The Oilers have been trending downward, the Sharks are looking very concerning, and the Coyotes are definitely that more respectable team on the uprise. So if anything here, the Coyotes and Oilers are going to be fighting off that wildcard spot. And the Sharks are definitely digging themselves in a hole so far this season. But anyways, guys, what do you guys think? Which teams are going to make the playoffs and which teams aren't? Coming to this season, I think a lot of people believe that the Sharks were going to be a playoff team. The Oilers were never really expected to be that playoff team. So far, it's kind of going as expected. I think one of the biggest surprises so far has just been, the Sharks and the Canucks. And the Coyotes, again, they've been quietly building this great team, so definitely not a big surprise. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think down below. See you guys later.